So our next presenter, the gentleman in the white coat, is Duncan. Carl is the General Manager of WyldLynx, and I've got to personally thank WyldLynx for providing me with coffee this morning, which was really helpful after last night. Carl's presentation is going to be Busting the Myths, Content Manager, Data Management and Governance, and he's going to show some practical solutions to managing, protecting and governing your data. So please welcome Carl to the stage.
Good afternoon all. As some of you may have sort of picked up, I'm trying to be Adam and Jamie from Mythbusters, so that's a little bit of a theme. I don't have the goatee or the ability to grow the beard, but that's basically where we got to. Before we kick off today, a little bit of a warning. This might be a little bit triggering. This might also provoke some thought. This might also I suppose just get you thinking, and maybe also different to what you've heard in the industry. So this whole idea is about busting myths, understanding what those myths may be, and sort of walking through that. So if anyone wants to QR code up the top, you can actually join in, add some of your own myths as well. So I'll give you about 15 seconds just to have a little bit of a look through that, and then we can kick on from there. You can put a myth there, we'll look at that at the end. You can write obviously, hopefully PG-related content related to the content, please, because we will be showing it at the other end as well. So, obviously with this whole topic is around the OpenText-related products and in and around those sort of unstructured and structured data spaces. So the first myth that we came up with was basically the web client doesn't work. Now, for me, on the other side of the fence, and having been in government and council myself, it certainly does work. It is a very highly capable application, continues to keep changing, allows you to check out to OneDrive, do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And in the latest release, which is coming out this week, I believe, there's also some changes to the UI as well. So the reality is, it's there, it works, it's 100% functional for everyday users, definitely not the admin teams, but everyday users. And I suppose some things just around that is that like I said, 75% fit. We have some customers that have gone full web client. We have some customers that have offered the web client as an offering as part of an upgrade. There's one story that I have, and I'll be cautious on my P's and Q's, where one admin doesn't like it, actually impacted 5,000 users in their organization. So as an admin myself, I use it, but not everybody will, and an admin probably won't, but you should still allow that ability to offer it, support it, maintain it, and train it. And again, in this example, it was a really bad one for 5,000 people that missed out on something that's quite capable. Continues to have more investment, as I talked about, continues to keep getting changed and feedback within that as well. So the verdict on that myth is it's busted. Myth 2, no automation in Content Manager. Now again, basically there's lots of things that you can do out of the box. Lots of things that you can do with Content Manager to do automation. This is an example of one post an event. So basically what this is called is a custom event processor. It allows you to do something and react to something you do in Content Manager. Now the example we have here is basically, this is an example from a customer, de-identify, but basically they select a status on a record. Behind the scenes, it automatically updates the date of when it was completed, automatically sets 6 months from now to review that policy and procedure, and then automatically sends them emails in 6 months' time. So these are things out of the box that everybody can use, that not many people are aware of, but things that just make your user's life easier, plus also automate some of those features as well. So the verdict for that one, obviously you might get a bit of a theme here today, is obviously busted. The third one, so this is around no linking product in Content Manager. So these couple next ones coming up will be probably triggering for some, but basically there is a misnomer in the industry that Content Manager has linking options out of the box. So there's two scenarios here that I'll talk through. One is an information manager asking a question around they're looking for something that links and allows people to send links to things out of the box in Content Manager. There's an unethical vendor who is looking to basically say that nothing works out of the box. We don't have anything, but we'll sell you something as part of that process. I come along and say that there are out-of-the-box options for this, and they're there already. You pay for it. It's already sitting there. and that same information manager saying that they were told that there wasn't one out of the box. So that is a common thing that happens in this state and across the industry as well. That same scenario, post-sale, happens. So this was an example where, again, asking some questions around, I want to link and send hyperlinks to records and those types of things. They just completed their upgrade with another unethical vendor, we'll say. They went through the motions, and as part of this process, the unethical vendor was happy, the customer wasn't. This one down the bottom, I'll paraphrase it, but basically it was a scenario where I had a CIO swearing at me, saying, I don't know what the beep, beep, beep I'm talking about, and the product is not, it doesn't do this. I politely responded saying, I do know what the beep, beep, beep I'm talking about. And basically what the scenario was the vendor turned off the product to sell them something. So again, these features are there out of the box. The reality of this was actually, it has these options. 5 organisations just in this state alone I've come across, and I'm sure there's more across Australia. That's basically $100,000 that someone spent that they don't actually need to spend. However, there may be requirements that are different to the out of the box, but in these 5 examples, they didn't know that it existed. They were blind because it was turned off and then sold as something they didn't actually need, and cost them $100,000. So I suppose that last comment is all about the not all vendors are the same. Going to the actual vendor themselves and asking these questions, because in this example, I suppose the CIO was a bit sort of shocked as part of this process, that he thought he had a trusted vendor that was doing right by him in this space. So the verdict, obviously pretty straightforward one. That one was a myth busted. Myth number 4 is you need third-party tools to manage stuff in Microsoft 365. Be surprised how often this comes up. Out of the box, there is already an integration with Microsoft 365 for Content Manager. I've had a number of conversations, as has my team on the booth today, where customers don't even know that that's a thing. And they've been using the product for 10, 15 years. It's quite capable. It allows you to manage information, OneDrive, Teams, SharePoint, manage it automatically, don't manage it automatically, manage posts, chats. If Tracy says I'm getting a pay rise, I can save that into Content Manager as a record. You can do quite a lot with the application that already exists out of the box today. So as an example to show you that it's not smoke and mirrors and it actually does what it says it does, these videos are on YouTube. You can go and have a bit of a look. But this is actually the Teams app that's out of the box, that you already pay for, that sits there. And you can interact with Content Manager for it. So I kind of call this a bit of a pane of glass to Content Manager. You don't have to have Content Manager open. You can interact with Content Manager directly from Microsoft Teams. You can search your favorites, search files, add files, open files, make changes to files. You can do all that directly from the UI itself, just like you can do when you've got Content Manager open. You can add notes, you can add relationships, you can add contact locations, you can browse records, you can workflow, you can action track. You can do pretty much most things out of the box for an everyday user directly in that space. You can also, again, from here, add things to favorites, remove things from your favorites, go and look at properties. Again, it's basically like having Content Manager, just in Teams. You can also pop out this side panel here on the right-hand side and, again, interact with Content Manager directly in that same sort of menu example as well. And you can even open up the application from Teams. So there's an option you'll see in a second which will have web client and thick client or desktop client. I'll choose the web client in this example to promote it, but basically it can take you directly to that record, directly in Content Manager without any sort of issues or options in that space. So highly capable option, that's just the start. The nirvana that we all try to get to is allowing a user just to work in a space and have it automatically managed. Now, there's about 5 videos on YouTube, all shortened, little snippet bits that you can read and have a look at. This is an example that I'm just an end user. I'm just using Microsoft Teams and or SharePoint, and behind the scenes I'm dragging documents in, doing what I need to do, and we are managing those records via stealth behind the scenes. So if this was a commission of inquiry, a project, or something that's important, and you don't want me to define when or how I should capture a record, it can happen automatically. Again, what's happening right now, this is the front end of the app that allows me to actually see where the rule is and where those files are getting managed, and this is a very simplistic scenario. And I can go and have a look in Content Manager and see all of those files going into Content Manager automatically as part of that process. When you open this up, you'll see it as well. Now, they can keep getting synced on a periodic basis. So if I'm making changes in Microsoft, those new files are going to be coming into Content Manager, making new revisions as that happens as well. And you'll see there's just a list of files that are sitting within that space. So again, this is just an example. It's not the you must do this example, it is one of the scenarios that you can do out of the box today as part of that process. So these were two scenarios that are real life scenarios where there was a conversation had between multiple different parties. So the first one is an information manager asking for, hey, I'm looking for a product that manages this stuff, what can help? Now there's two sort of talk tracks that I see or hear secondly after going and demoing post other people. But one of them is there isn't something out of the box. And I can bet my house, mortgage, child or kids that there is something out of the box. Help co-design it, it is there. The second talk track is it's broken and it doesn't work. And that keeps coming up, and also today, especially on the booth. I come in and ask the question of, did you know there was something out of the box? The information manager in this example didn't know that that was a thing. In this one, same sort of context. They're asking for those same sort of tools, same sort of functionality. Again, wasn't told that there was one out of the box that you could actually use that was quite capable. This scenario is a little bit different. We've got about 35 to 40 customers using this out-of-the-box functionality, working quite well in lots of different options and how it works. The scenario for this customer, and I'm watching my P's and Q's here so I don't give them away, is basically they were proposed an $80,000 solution to do the same thing. Something that cost them $0 for $80,000. Even if we were to implement it for them, because there's no cost for the actual application, it's already baked out of the box, supported by the vendor themselves, they would save $70,000 on that sort of implementation costs. So the reality, again, there are these things out of the box. You can use these things today. They are sitting there in the product for you to use and get amongst. You don't need a third-party product to manage external content sitting in Microsoft 365, in my opinion. You can reinvest that money in other ways. And you can sure as hell, pardon the French, ask to say, I could spend that money doing other things, internal initiatives for organizations, and again, get more value from the solution you already have. The 40 clients that we have using it today at this point in time will probably have some different opinions of that it works quite well for them, for their use cases, and they're all on a bit of a different journey. And again, with the same caveat, replaying a conversation I had recently in WA where a customer didn't know that there was a thing. I went through the motions. They didn't have real clear business requirements. Kind of didn't help. But when we went through the motions and actually talked through, they said this would meet our needs. We don't need to go and buy the widget for $80,000. We can save that money and pay for an upgrade or do something else that they want to do in the future as well. This is needing point solutions to, again, manage the same content sitting in Microsoft 365. So one of the scenarios we often get is everyone wants to move to SharePoint. It's the flavor of the month for CIOs at the moment, and it's quote, compliant out of the box. So basically this conversation has happened a few times and certainly happened today again, where basically they're looking for a bolt-on solution to manage the Microsoft 365 content. They already have an EDRMS, and they bought something as part of this process. Now for them, as we start asking questions, they also then went and bought another solution for a network drive, cleanup, data privacy, governance, whatever you want to call it, scenario. And as part of this, they now have 3 EDRMSs or content systems or management systems, and guess what? They all don't talk. That's 3 BCSs, 3 RDSs, the list goes on, and quite a large hefty bill on their software for 3 different solutions that all don't communicate or talk together. In this example, I actually asked the customer and said, did you know that there were things that already do this out of the box and within the OpenText family itself? And basically, this is my view of the world. It's been that way since I was on the other side of the fence in government. But basically, where Content Manager can underpin your governance and archiving platform. You can have integrations with line of business systems. You can have integrations with that Microsoft ecosystem there. You can have integrations with things like DocuSign and Rolly for social media management and governance. But on the far right-hand side, that unstructured and structured data, you can also manage that content directly into that EDRMS that you've already got in that space. So that's sort of our view of the world that sort of helps with a lot of clients getting to their sort of nirvana state. But definitely is an achievable outcome. Now for the actual reality is within the OpenText family. If you haven't picked up on the vibe yet, the Microsoft 365 stuff is tick. You can do that out of the box. You can also look at things around unstructured data. So again, there are tools within the family of OpenText that allow you to manage unstructured data, whether that's duplication, whether that's finding, RTIs, FOIs, legal searches, you name it. You can actually go through and manage that content. There's also tools, and I was having a conversation to the NAB ladies before from a banking perspective. You can also use, there are tools within the OT family allowing you to manage structured data, which in Australia we're not really ready for yet, where you can actually manage structured applications. You can do legacy retirement of applications, actually treating structured systems as records, which is still very new. In Singapore, they've got that squared away. Banking sectors, the 3 banks that I've spoken to this morning, are on that journey probably ahead of a lot of other government clients that we work with or are aware of. There's scenarios around managing your identity and tying all these things together. So managing your identity, what Carl should or shouldn't see in each different ecosystem, so you've got that holistic view. That application retirement we talked about, but also protecting your data as well. So being able to, I've found credit cards, I've found PII, what do I do? Do I mask it? Do I anonymize it? Do I create clean copies for AI, which is the new buzzword for this week? All those fun things around that as well. So that myth was busted. There's multiple myths in that scenario. The last myth is around there's only one content manager cloud. The amount of times that I've had this conversation is quite astronomical. Basically, this is a scenario that comes up frequently where a CISO in this example is asking the question of they would like a pen test or a penetration test specifically for their environment. The people are saying that they perform testing on those applications on the platform, and then they provide you with that report. I asked some questions around that, and I've done this for a few different customers lately, where basically there's a difference between having an assessment, an IRAP, a pen test, whatever it may be about a platform versus your specific instance. They are two separate things. In that scenario that here is that they were told by their trusted partner that that pen test is on the overall platform, not on my specific data set or my specific configuration, and thus if I wanted that, guess what? More money, more variations that go with that. So the reality of this is, and this is again one of those big myths that I keep seeing, is there's more than one OpenText cloud, and there are more than one vendor doing cloud content manager as a service. If we want to get a little bit fancy, when I was on the other side of the fence, I worked for a council. I was the first person in the world to put content manager in the cloud. Before it was cool, 15 years ago. Now, every Tom, Dick and Harry are doing it. It's a thing that you can do. But I suppose the other thing to be thinking of is not all clouds are the same. Getting into your requirements, getting into the nitty-gritty about what they mean, how they work. Some of them aren't even managed by the people that you sign the contract with, and they don't disclose that until, guess what, after you've signed the contract. But maybe. Some of them have limitations. Some of them won't allow you to integrate with it. Some of them won't allow you to install third-party products in it. So then you sign up and then go, oh, I've got all these products from pick some vendors, I can't use them. But too late, you're done and you're moving forward. So I suppose the key things here is really understanding your requirements and really understanding what's out there before you go down a path, if that makes sense. So the verdict on that one, guess what? Same thing again, busted. So a little time for Q&A. So any of those that did the polls, internet, that's important. We're good. So anyone that has theirs, should be some polls coming up in a second. Once it loads. Gotta love Optus signal in a building. So there's a few myths that we have here, and we've got a little bit of time to answer some of those questions. I am super aware that I'm keeping you between lunch as well. Try not to be rude. So that you can't engage other members of the CM community and get ideas. I hate that myth, just quietly. I think the biggest part of what we do, and running a user group in Queensland for this content manager environment, is that collaboration space. You need to collaborate together. If Tracy solved something, if Michael solved something, ultimately if someone solves something, we should be sharing that so we don't have to rinse and repeat. Like, we should be able to copy paste to a level of certainty around that to keep collaborating in that space. CM forums are great. I echo, that's a confirmed myth, that one. I like that as well. Do you need to have the latest version of Content Manager? Probably a little bit more context for that question. If you're thinking about the Microsoft integration, the copy link stuff that we talked about, answer is no. They've been in the product for a long time. You probably just aren't aware of it or when. Definitely later releases, a lot more functionality, but Teams integration came in at 10.1. I think copy link was just before that as well. So if you're on 7s, yes. If you're on later releases, then no, you should be fine. Workflows don't do what I need. I'd love to unpack that conversation a little bit more at the booth at the end, because we've got a customer using workflows and DocuSign. They do about 4,000 workflows every year for approvals and delegations and things like that. So I agree. I'm the first to say it's not pretty, but the functionality within the tool definitely works. And we've got a lot of customers using that. The native integrations are compatible in benefits to native applications. I'll have to untake that. The zero footprint integration doesn't work with the new Microsoft 365 products. 100% a myth. They certainly do. The zero footprint is, for context, the COM add-ins or the thick client add-ins are going, see ya, because of Microsoft. Zero footprint integration's been around since, I'm going to say, at least 6 years, and you can definitely use that in the latest releases of Content Manager. But again, an unknown thing. The amount of times we're doing that lately and educating people around it is quite large. I've got 2 other questions. If you've still got the poll open, you can actually continue on this. You should see another question. But I just wanted to poll, before today, did anyone know that there was a linking product in the tool? Again, this is just an interesting thing that will pop up if you want to answer the question here, or you can talk about it later. But basically the scenario of, were you aware before this presentation or before today that there was a part of the product in that space? That will keep updating live for the next couple of days anyway, so you can come back and look at those results. And the next one was more around the Microsoft 365 environment. So you should now see another pop-up on your screen for Slido that basically will say, before today, did you know there was an out-of-box feature that allowed you to manage Microsoft 365 information? Be interesting to see where this one lands at the end of the day, just quietly, as it continues to go through. I'd like to ask more questions of do you have it, has it installed, but we'll talk about that at the booth after lunch. Cool. So just in summary, I suppose before wrapping up and getting into lunch, because it does smell great, not all vendors are the same. Salespeople traditionally can be coin operated. They're in it for them, they're not in it for you. I think take time to understand what you have and what your requirements are, because that's an important part of this process. Talk to a trusted vendor or get a second opinion. Like I said, I don't love having swearing arguments with CIOs. It's not the funnest thing that I've done, but I will do them if I have to. But get a second opinion. Ask the vendor directly themselves. Ask yourselves. Ask the community of people that you work within. If you do have any other myths, and there's been some up there, obviously we're at the booth for the rest of today and tomorrow. But I think the last bit is just remember, solutions aren't about hype, they're about facts and demonstrated experience. So talk to each other, understand that, and make sure you're getting that demonstrated experience as part of that process. Otherwise, let's go have lunch.